The new religion of capitalism. For most of history, human societies were organized around religious or traditional beliefs. But with the scientific revolution and European global expansion, a new worldview began to take hold: capitalism. At its core, capitalism isn't just an economic system, it's a belief in growth. While earlier economic systems aimed for stability or sufficiency, capitalism thrives on the idea that the future can be better and richer than the past. This shift required a radical rethinking of credit and trust. In the Middle Ages, lending money with interest was frowned upon or even illegal in many cultures. But by the 17th century, the perception of credit transformed. If people believed the economy would grow, they trusted borrowers would be able to pay back more in the future. This belief in future profits became the engine that fueled modern economies. Credit, trust, and the rise of empires. The Dutch Republic offers a clear example of how capitalism and trust in credit changed history. Though small in size and population, the Dutch became an economic powerhouse in the 17th century because they mastered credit. Unlike the Spanish Empire, which relied on plundered gold and silver, the Dutch built their empire with loans and investments. Amsterdam's stock exchange and banks offered a new kind of stability. Investors felt confident putting money into ventures because they believed in the systems backing them. This trust translated into massive funding for exploration, colonization, and trade. The Dutch East India Company became one of the world's first multinational corporations, and it was funded entirely through capitalist means. This model was so successful that it inspired others. England followed suit, and later the United States. The British East India Company, American railroads, and countless modern corporations are all built on the same capitalist foundation. Belief in future profits fuels present investment. Capitalism, slavery, and the dark side of growth. While capitalism enabled massive expansion and innovation, it wasn't without cost. One of the darkest aspects of capitalist history is its deep entanglement with slavery and exploitation. During the Atlantic slave trade, European empires kidnapped and enslaved millions of Africans, using them as labor for plantations that produced sugar, cotton, and tobacco. These goods were sold in global markets, generating enormous profits. Capitalism didn't create slavery, but it made it extremely profitable. Investors bought shares in companies like the Royal African Company, expecting returns on the sale of human lives. Banks lent money to plantation owners. Insurance companies covered slave ships. The entire economic machine was complicit. These injustices show how capitalism, when left unchecked by ethics or regulation, can exploit the vulnerable. The system is agnostic about morality. What matters is growth. This legacy is crucial to acknowledge, as it underpins many modern inequalities. The Industrial Revolution. Capitalism on steroids. The Industrial Revolution supercharged capitalism. Machines multiplied production, and factories replaced artisan workshops. Investors funneled money into new technologies, from steam engines to mechanized looms. Mass production led to mass consumption. This era saw the birth of consumer culture. Marketing, branding, and product variety became tools to drive demand. It wasn't enough to meet needs. Capitalism now aimed to manufacture wants. People began to define themselves by what they owned, not just who they were. Governments adapted too. Economic growth became a national goal. Policies supported infrastructure, protected patents, and opened new markets. Capitalism evolved into a global system, with supply chains stretching across continents. Growth wasn't just possible, it became necessary to maintain social and political stability. Capitalism. Today, faith, growth, and the unknown. Today, capitalism remains the dominant global system. It has lifted billions out of poverty and driven extraordinary innovation. But it also faces new challenges: environmental degradation, wealth inequality, and financial crises. Can endless growth continue on a finite planet? Critics argue that capitalism encourages unsustainable exploitation of resources and people. Supporters claim it is adaptable and self-correcting. In truth, capitalism is neither inherently good nor bad. It's a tool, a framework. What matters is how we shape it. Modern capitalism still runs on faith, not in gods or monarchs, but in markets and profit. The story of capitalism is, at its core, a story about belief. As we face climate change and automation, we must ask, what kind of future do we believe in? And how can our economic systems serve that vision?